Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good, I can hear you as well. So far you're the only person here out of the 19 that signed up.
Well,
So
I'm on time.
you're on time, that's great, yeah. If it's okay, we'll wait a few minutes to see who else shows up. Is that okay with you?
Yes. Yeah. And I think you spoke to a friend of mine who's calling in,
Which one was that?
Vera.
Okay, cool. I hope what I gave her works. So where are you located, Amy?
I'm in Toronto. You?
I'm just outside of Calgary at a town called High River.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what's going on in Toronto?
Uh, it's like a ghost. Well, it's like a holiday every day in the sense that it's like Christmas, when there's like no traffic hardly and like everything's closed.
Yeah.
It's like that every day.
Wow.
It's
Little
it's kind of
snowflakes coming
crazy.
down?
No,
No
not
snowflake.
today, but
That's okay.
yesterday. It's quite sunny,
Yeah, here too. It's quite beautiful, actually.
but it's cold.
There's a phone person. How
That might be.
cold is it?
Sorry?
How cold is it?
Um, it's -3 or something like that.
Wow. It's going to be, I think I heard today, going to be 17 degrees here.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to make that here.
Well, you can always walk out west. I don't think you can fly anymore, but maybe you can. I don't know. Phone person, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Is that Vera by any chance?
Yes, it is. How are you today?
I'm excellent. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Your
Hi,
friend,
Vera.
your friend Amy is here.
Hi, Amy. How are you, Amy?
I'm here. I'm taking a break from working.
That's good. Good to hear.
So Vera, just telling Amy, 19 of you have signed up for this little webinar. So we're going to wait a couple minutes if that's okay, just to see who else shows
Sure,
up.
no problem.
Awesome.
No problem.
So you can vacuum the carpets or whatever you need to do in the meantime. There's the playman. The playman has arrived. Mr. Mandelson, good morning.
Look at you.
Look at you.
Oh, look at you.
Look at you. You're dressed in green. How are you?
It's like the only color of all my clothes. It's not good.
Have you spray painted them all? Is that what's going on?
It's come to this.
It's come to this, yes.
It's like everything is green. What is this? What is this? Gumby.
Nice to see you, Robert. I was just telling these other folks, apparently 19 have signed up for this, so we're going to wait a couple minutes just to see who else shows up, if that's okay.
What's your experience with when people sign up yet there's no payment versus they sign up and there's payment? Do you find it kind of changes the commitment?
Well, big hand. So I've just started these meetup groups and I haven't charged yet, so I can't even answer that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where
Welcome, Creative or Crestwind Solutions.
Are you still in Alberta?
Yeah, I'm in High River.
Yeah, okay, so you haven't moved.
Well, I did. I moved to High River.
I thought you were always in High River.
I was in Twin Butte.
Oh, right.
Moved to High River just a year ago now.
Wow.
Needed to be closer to you, Robert.
So that's I felt somebody breathing down the back of my neck.
That's
you.
me, buddy. It's me and my gang. John Delargy. This is interesting. Can you hear me, John? You're on mute, by the way. Hi, Jenny. Can you hear me talk? John is putting on his camera here. Oh, he's not. Somebody's sharing their screen. Okay, I'm going to say we're going to start at 8:07, so another minute and a little bit.
What's the
John, I can't see you, but it's great to see you. I have muted everyone. I thought I unmuted everyone. Let's do it again. All participants are unmuted. Other people are talking, John, so.
No, there you are.
There you are.
Hey.
How you doing, my
How's
friend?
it going, Herky? Long time no see.
Look at you.
He's a big boy now.
So John and I go back to Russia. I met John in Russia in 2010.
Wow.
And this is the cool thing about this virtual stuff. So now you're living in London, and you say, John.
Yeah, we moved here last year. So lots of upheaval, lots of change, and now not an awful lot in the last month. We're kind of stuck inside in Groundhog Day.
Gotcha.
So from kind of one extreme to the other. But yeah, things are in general are pretty good.
You're looking healthy.
Thank you.
You're looking
Likewise.
Irish. Still playing that guitar?
Still playing that guitar.
Good
yep.
Man.
Yeah, not enough, but playing a little bit, yeah.
Good to hear. All right, I think we're gonna get going here, folks, and people will drop in as they will. So I'm gonna leave you unmuted for the moment, and let's get going. So welcome, and very happy to have you here. So for those of you who don't know, I'm located in High River, Alberta, which is about 30 minutes south of Calgary, and just got designated as a COVID hotspot because we have a meat packing plant here, and our total now is 401 workers in that meat packing plant tested positive. So the town, as you can imagine, is a little edgy, and I know people are all around the world are edgy. So it's just something we have to deal with and live with right now. So I hope all of you are hanging in there and managing as best as you can. I know it's not easy for a lot of people. So briefly, the reason why this has come about is because some of you know I'm a speaker and a trainer, and I'm also a performing musician, and I can't do any of that right now in front of people. They're all gone. All my people have left me. They've walked away. And so I had to, like others have, I've had to rethink, well, what do I do now? So I came across a colleague who told me about Meetup and how he learned how to use it to do training sessions like this. And of course, Meetup traditionally was face-to-face, and now it's essentially all virtual. So why not give this a shot? So that's what I did, and I've created essentially 3 groups. So even though they're based in certain cities, like the one is in Toronto, this one is based in Toronto, one in Vancouver, and one in Calgary, because of the virtuality of this, really anybody can sit in on any session. It was interesting though, since we have a man from Edmonton here, which is Calgary's big rival up north, 3 hours north of Calgary. When I told another man to join the Calgary group, he said, "What do you mean? I'm not coming to Calgary." He's also in Edmonton, and he wouldn't come to this training because it's Calgary based. So apparently there's some issues around competition here. So I'm going to have to start an Edmonton group. But here's Robert from Edmonton who kindly is sitting in on this one. If you haven't joined the group and you're a guest, I see some of you are. That's totally cool. You can join the group if you like, and that way it doesn't cost anything. But that way you can keep in touch with all the additional trainings. There's already a second one set up for this group. I believe it's May 6th on Wednesday, and you probably have already got a notice around that. This first session, I decided to keep it in kind of a webinar format. Which is me sharing some information with you about the topic. We'll have time for questions and answers near the end. This is not going to go longer than an hour. Time is pretty important to me, as I know it's important to all of you. The others, though, will be more like I am live. When I present live, it's very interactive. I can't stand just standing and giving you information for whatever period of time. Plus, it's important for us to learn from each other. You all have experience around these topics as well, so it's important to get to know that. The purpose of the group is leadership. People who are leaders in their organizations or aspiring to be a leader in their organizations, or just for, I guess, curiosity and learning more information. Today's topic, 10 guiding principles to navigate through change, really can be addressed to anyone in any situation. And the reason this came about is when COVID started, I began to think, well, what are the kinds of things that I do to get through tough times like this? And as you can see, I've been around the block a couple of times. I've gone through some of these issues before. In fact, somebody brought up the War Measures Act, which is something that people have been considering, Canada's been considering here, to make sure that people actually stay home and stay isolated. Though the only other time the War Measures Act was presented in Calgary, I was there. It was in Montreal during the FLQ crisis, and it was weird because I'm walking around the streets of Montreal, and one day I remember coming out of work and a tank was coming down the street, stopped. A couple of soldiers got out of the tank and they pulled over this old woman to the side and started to question her and search her. And it was just bizarre. I think I was, 18 or something at the time. It was very weird. So I've gone through some of these times before in one way or another. And so I wrote down all the things that I do and just wrote an article on LinkedIn about it. And then I decided, hey, this would be a good topic for a webinar. So that's where this kind of came about. All right, as far as Zoom is concerned, probably everyone in the world now is getting more familiar with Zoom. There's a chat feature that you can open up. Some people have already made some notes there. If you have any questions during the seminar, put them in the chat feature because I am going to mute you during the seminar. So I know some of you will be jumping up and down, wanting to talk, and you won't be able to. So put something in the chat section there. And I'm also going to record this. And the reason I'm recording this is for the people in the group who did make it today, and I'm going to send the link to those people, so it's not going to be a general link to the world. So I hope that's going to be okay with you. If it isn't okay with you, let me know, and I'm not sure what to do about that, but let me know. All right, so I think we're going to get started, and I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to go through this little PowerPoint. Okay, I have to be able to play it here, so what's going on? All right, there we go. So you'll notice that the name of the meetup group is Extraordinary Leadership and Workplace Training, actually. And the reason I use the word extraordinary is because I think that everything that we do on a day-to-day basis essentially becomes ordinary. And that's not to say that it's not great. Some people might actually think that what you do on a day-to-day basis is extraordinary. And in fact, you may think that. But if it's something that I do on a daily basis, I kind of consider that ordinary. And so for me, extraordinary is moving out of that comfort zone, excuse me, moving away from the things I already know, learning new things, and we're all lifelong learners, I'm sure. But the interesting thing is how folks like us come to a session like this, learn something, and then whether or not we integrate it. And I think that's the thing that can make us extraordinary, is by taking these things that we learn and actually integrating them into our lives, integrating them into our organizations. And for the most part, I don't know what your experience is, but for the most part, my experience is a lot of people come to these things, they gather tools, they gather tools, they gather tools, they keep on gathering tools, they keep on going to conferences, keep on reading books, and they rarely implement a lot of the things that they learn. And of course, it's safe to say that if you're not implementing the things that you learn, guess what? Things will not change. So in terms of this particular topic, these things work. They work because I use them every day, and I'm going to share examples about how I use them as we go through it. So if you choose to integrate these into your life, it'll change your life, and that'll make your life extraordinary. And that's why I call this group Extraordinary Leadership Training. Now, of these 10 guiding principles, I'm sure there isn't one of them that you already haven't heard of. The question is, are you using it to your benefit? Are you using it within your organization? Because all of these principles, even though they're designed to look at someone's personal life and how they're doing personally, getting through things like COVID, also can be applied at the organizational level. All right, so there's the intro, and let's have a look. So the first one is staying positive. And this, again, this might be a no-brainer for some, but for others, if you just, all you have to do is go on Facebook, spend a little time on Facebook, spend a little time on Twitter, other social media, you'll see all kinds of negativity. This morning, listening to the radio, I actually went out to look for a coffee. Every morning I go for a drive, to a drive-through coffee shop. In High River right now, there's none open. The reason there's none open is because of what happened in the meatpacking plant. A lot of the workers in fast food places here in High River are Filipino or Mexican, and a lot of them were the ones who also work at the meatpacking plant and are tested positive for COVID. So some of our fast food places have no staff anymore. So McDonald's is shut down, Tim Hortons is shut down, A&W shut down. I couldn't find a coffee this morning. So, but the point about being positive is, while listening to the radio to get the coffee, I was listening to a Filipino man from Calgary who was talking about the situation here in High River. And there's negativity around, first of all, the meatpacking plant. What have they done or not done to help people not get the virus? And second of all, the Filipino community, which is kind of insane when you think about it, that it's their fault. It's not their fault. They live, they happen to have, many of them live in houses with lots of different people. They do that for a reason, because, they're being pulled from their country to come and work. Their families are back home. They get together as friends to save money, and they live, a number of people in a house, just like some people used to do when I went to university. There might be 5 or 6 or 8 people in a house. So if somebody tests positive, well, then the others might there's a tendency for the others to get the disease as well. So to blame them just seems to be insane. It's divisive. It's not united. So staying positive, although it's a simple thing to say, not easy to do. So I want to run through some of these points. Waiting to worry. Some people worry all the time. And I worry as well. I worry about lots of things. I told you before, I have no paid work, in the sense that all the things that I used to do are now canceled. So I have to find other ways to make money. So I worry about that. But I give myself permission to worry, and I give myself permission at certain times of the day. So I might say, I'm going to spend 15 minutes just worrying now. Because if I don't give myself permission, I kind of feel guilty about the fact that I'm worried, and then I have resentment and anger, and then lo and behold, an hour could go by and I haven't done anything. And that's not going to help me move towards finding ways to make money, because all I'm doing is spending my time worrying. So I actually give myself permission to worry. An attitude of gratitude. I'm sure many of you are grateful for the things that you have in your life. Everything seems to be, it could be worse. Here I am in isolation in a nice, beautiful house where I'm in my studio, my office right now. I could stay here forever as long as I have food. And lo and behold, just to my left is a storage a room with food in it. So I could probably be here for weeks without any problems at all. And yet I saw a meme on Facebook the other day about Anne Frank. Some of you recall Anne Frank from World War II, hiding Jews from the Nazis, spending, I think it was 749 days, not only just in isolation in this tiny little 400 or 500 square foot house, but also not being able to make any noise for fear that the Nazis might hear them. 749 days. Things can always be worse. I have a friend who keeps a gratitude journal, and he lives in Fernie, and every morning he goes into his hot tub and he reads his gratitude journal, and that's how he starts his day. Point number 3 in that slide, your health is your wealth. I'm hoping that people are staying healthy during this. What I do is I stretch, not every day, but maybe every second day. I do a series of stretches for my back, yoga stretches. My wife and I dance every day for about 30 minutes just to have some fun and get some exercise. And we go for a walk as long as the weather is okay. So always trying to keep my body moving. I do spend a lot of time in a chair, sitting down, working on the computer. So I make sure that every 45 minutes or an hour I get up. And so that's kind of cool. Take care of your body. It's really, really important. Number 4, the serious benefits of belly laughs. So one of the men on here is a man who uses play to help organizations build teams and get out of their heads a little bit and have some fun and realize that humor and fun are actually great ways to learn, and you don't have to do it in a serious way all the time. And for me, my sense of humor has gotten me through all kinds of dark times, and it's really important to laugh. So I don't know what you're doing about that, but there's so many different ways. Just go on YouTube and watch a video of a cat or a kid or a dog or something else. Listen to a comedian, watch a funny movie. There's 100 different things you can do to get some laughs, but make sure that you laugh because it's important. Number 5, joy boomerangs. When you spread joy, it comes back at you. And of course, the opposite is true as well. If you spread negativity, it'll also come back at you. I've stopped posting on Facebook about politics and things like that. It's just not worth it. It just takes too much time. There's too much negativity. I much rather post good things when I can and share joy because I think that's really important, especially in a time like this. Number 6, losing the fight right. So not everybody writes. I do. Sometimes I journal. I'm a songwriter, so I write songs. I wrote a song about how I was feeling about COVID. It's called Just Surrender, and I put it online. That's the way I get my crap out of my body, and that's also a way for me to be creative, and I get to share how I'm feeling with other people in that way. So if you're not writing anything, maybe just think about writing a poem or something about how you're feeling or a little story about it. It really can be transformative. And the other thing I do with writing is sometimes my wife and I have a fire ceremony, and I'll write down all the things that I don't want in my life on a piece of paper, and then we'll go to the fire ceremony, go to the fire, and I'll burn it. And as it burns, I'm just sort of surrendering and letting it all go out of my life. And it works. And those things come back sometimes, and then just do it again. But for that short period anyway, it works. Number 7, keep the faith, baby, in whatever way, shape, or form that is for you. For me, I'm not in organized religion, but I do believe in a higher power, and my faith is in humankind. I think that us human beings will actually get through this together in some way. I have faith in nature. Remarkable what's going on around the world in terms of nature as a result of industry shutting down. You know, for example, countries in India who have never seen the Himalayas for 40 years because of all the pollution can now see the mountains in just a month. It's quite remarkable. Number 8, learning to say no graciously. This could be a time when, if you're one of those people who are always willing to help and saying yes, this can be a time where even more people are going to ask you for some help. And you need to determine how much you can actually do so it's still healthy for you. We have to set boundaries, not only during crisis times, but any time. And number 9, the understanding the power of discipline. So for me, some kind of routine during a time like this. I mean, normally in my life, I have some kind of routine, but being an entrepreneur, you know, I could be in one place for 4 days one week and another place for 4 days the next week, or I can not work for 3 weeks, or it's all over the map, and it's hard to establish a routine there. Here, it's actually, during this time, it's actually easier for me. So I do have a bit of a routine. I told you about every morning I try and go find a coffee outside just to get out and make sure that cars are still driving around, so I know that there's people around. I also, the routine around stretching and working out and going for a walk and dancing and doing work and giving myself permission to worry. That's all part of the routine. And it grounds me. It gives me something that I can rely on that's going to be there. And I make it happen. All of this is you making it happen. So the power of discipline for me is pretty important. And then the last one, self-explanatory, but if you have negative people in your life, get rid of them. I don't know. If they're family, I'm not sure how you could do that, but I much prefer to surround myself with positive people. So staying positive, huge. The next one, positive affirmations. I don't know if you people do this. That slide has a number of them on there, but I actually have in my wallet, I don't know how well you can see it, but I have it's a little plastic card, and it has 15 positive affirmations on it. I keep it in my wallet, and every once in a while I pull it out and I look at it. And I'm not going to read them to you, but something that's really important, just affirming that I'm a good person, that I'm trying hard to make this world a better place, that there's lots of abundance in the world, even though sometimes I don't think that's so. As an entrepreneur, sometimes you get into that space, you know, when's the next gig coming? Where's the next gig coming from? So things like that help me get through times like this. The next one, I'm sure very familiar to most of you, mindfulness. So mindfulness is all about being in the present. And of course, the more time we spend in the present, the less time we spend thinking about the past or worrying about the future. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Present moment thinking is really crucial in a crisis like this, because when your mind starts to ramble, starts to worry, when the voice in your head starts to chatter about all the things that are going wrong, all the things that you don't have, and how long is this going to last, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, could drive us crazy. And sometimes it's that fear that we get from listening to that voice that freezes us, and it stops us from doing anything. So practicing mindfulness in some way, shape, or form is really important. I practice it through my exercising. So when I'm exercising, I'm actually thinking about what's going through my body, where are the parts of my body that I'm feeling stress or pain, where are the parts of my body that I'm feeling good. And I'm paying a lot of attention to what my body is actually saying. I'm being mindful about my body in the present moment. I'm also taking time to think about what else is going on around me in terms of the sights, the sounds, the smells, and using my senses as much as I possibly can. That's also a way to practice mindfulness, is to, you know, when I go for a walk, I'm listening for birds. I'm not thinking about, oh my God, what am I going to do when I get back, and who am I going to call, and how am I going to get the next gig? And I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about that walk with my wife, holding her hand, enjoying the feel of the sunshine on my face, listening to the birds, feeling the breeze, seeing the people, and being in the present. And that's practicing mindfulness. Very helpful for me to get through anything, really. The next principle, so letting go of the past. I was very fortunate to have participated in something called the Landmark Form training. Some of you may know it. Some of you may have actually experienced it. And I did this, I did the Landmark Form, I think it was in October of last year, 2019. Then I did the advanced course in December. So I've done both those courses. I signed up for another one that was supposed to start in April. It got canceled, of course. Excuse me. But I learned a lot. And here's that notion again, when you go take training, do you integrate it into your life? Well, in terms of the Landmark training, for me, it was transformative. And I've actually changed my life because of what I've learned. And here's one of the big ways that I've changed my life, and that's letting go of my past. Now, that's pretty easy to say, you know, letting go of your past. And I'm going to share some ways that you can do that. But what I learned in Landmark was they asked us the question. There was 160 people in this training, by the way, so I wasn't the only one that experienced this. But they asked us the question, point me to your past. And if I said that to you, to point me to your past, you know, where might you point? And so in the workshop, some people pointed, well, behind them, you know, the past is behind me. So when I point behind me, I see a wall, I see some pictures, I have a bookshelf, I have a lamp. That's what's behind me, not my past. What's actually there are those things. Some people point, well, it's all in here, it's all in my head. Well, it's not in your head. What's in your head is gray matter, brain, and whatever other material your head is made up of. So there really isn't something tangible that you can point to when you say point to your past. So when I got that, when I understood that, that made a lot of sense to me. So what is the past then? And Landmark talks about the past being simply a series of stories that we make up about the things that happened to us in the past. And that makes so much sense to me because I have certain perceptions about what happened to me during the past. And those perceptions are the things that I carried with me throughout my whole life. And they are the things that create who I am in the present moment. And if I keep those things inside my head or inside my body or whatever, then they are going to be the things that help determine who I become in the future. So a lot of us, you know, we've been hurt in the past, for example, in a number of different ways. And we take that hurt, we take the stories that we have about what actually happened. So something happened to us, we create a story around that. The story has evolved over the years. And we take that story and it influences how we show up in the world today, in the present moment, and how we might show up in the world in the future. So I'm going to give you an example that hopefully will clarify this. So let's take a person who says they're shy. I'm a shy person. I'm a speaker. I used to be a Toastmaster. Most people would say I'm not a shy person. Shy person, however, would probably say, oh, I can never do that. I could never be a Toastmaster. I could never be a public speaker. I'm totally afraid of talking in front of people. And by the way, that's the number one fear of most people in life, is speaking in front of other people in public. So those shy people, that shy person probably became shy based on something that may have, or some things that may have happened to them in their past. So an example might be, I used to be a teacher. So a kid puts up their hand, asks a question, teacher discounts the question, says it's a stupid question. That does happen in classrooms actually, or other kids might laugh at the question, and that might shut the kid up. And that might stop the kid from even ever really expressing themselves again. And therefore they become withdrawn and shy. They're now a shy person. And there are other events that, of course, could have happened in someone's life that would consider them or make them become shy. So they have this notion about this self, that there's this thought about themselves that they're shy. So that's the present now. I'm a shy person. In the future, the shy person would probably never say, well, you know, I'm going to be a public speaker, or I'm going to join Toastmasters. They probably won't do that. Some will, because they want to get rid of the shyness, which is cool. But some will probably never, ever do that. And they'll never go beyond where they are based on who they think they are, based on the stories they've told them about what happened in the past. So really, really important to let go of the past. I'm going to share some ways that you can do that. First of all, make the decision to do it. Set the intention that I'm not going to let the past influence who I am today and who I will be in the future. I'm just going to let it go. Don't have to forget about it. We're not going to forget about it, but we can let it go. Second, take responsibility for what you may have done in the past. So one of the things that we learned in Landmark is to transform our lives by making it different, new. Not even different, but new. Create new possibilities, which is the next slide. And one of the things that I looked at in my life are the relationships that I have. Some with my family and some with friends that I pushed away. There are some family members I don't even talk to or hadn't talked to. And I wondered about that. And after going through the training, I started to make some phone calls to these people, take responsibility for what I may have done in that relationship to cause it to no longer be happening in my life, and tell them how much I miss them being a part of my life. And then creating the possibility for having a new relationship. And again, we're going to talk about create new possibilities in a moment. But it was that taking responsibility and expressing the pain I had about not having the relationship in my life anymore. I mean, nieces and nephews that I've never talked to is kind of ridiculous, but it happens, and it happens for reasons. I'm part of that reason, and I have to take responsibility for that. Another way to let go of the past is stop being the victim and blaming others. So I know all of us probably know people who blame everything. People are blaming, I just told you today, people are blaming the meatpacking plant for the breakout. They're blaming the Filipino people for the breakout. You don't have to go any farther than down south, one of our leaders down south who blames everything for everybody for everything and takes no responsibility himself for anything unless it's something good. Then he takes all the responsibility. So we have to stop being the victim. We have to take responsibility for our own life. And that's not easy, but it can be done. Another way to let go is focus on the present. And again, that whole mindfulness thing, the more time you spend on the present, the less time you spend thinking about the past or worrying about the future. So if you can create your life around appreciating being in the moment, it saves a lot of, for me, it saves a lot of issues and a lot of time worrying about other things. Another way to let go of the past is forgive them, forgive anybody who may have caused you harm. And that's your story about it, by the way. They may not see it the same way at all. And also forgive yourself. So I forgive myself for the things that I did to drive those people away from me in my life. And I forgive them for what they may have done, or what I think they may have done, or my perception about what they have done to change the relationship. So forgiveness is huge. And the last one is fear, because all of this, I think, is based in fear. We're shy. We don't want to speak in front of people because we're afraid. We don't want to phone that person that we don't have a good relationship because we're afraid of what they might say. We don't want to speak our own mind because we're afraid of how people might react to our truth. So fear is huge. And for me, what I've learned to do is just face my fear. Whatever I'm afraid of, I don't run away from anymore. I walk towards. And it's not easy. It takes practice, just like anything else in life. I play the guitar. I know John in here plays the guitar. There may be others. You don't pick up the guitar on day one and start playing perfectly. You have to practice it. And it's the same with any of this stuff. If you want to get rid of fear or face fear in your life, you have to start. You have to list the things that you're afraid of and start. I jumped out of a plane 4 years ago because I'm afraid of heights. I'm not afraid of heights anymore. So that's the way you face fear. All right, moving on. So I mentioned this creating new possibilities. I'm going to check the time here. And again, landmark training. What's really cool about this, what I found really cool about this is once I started to get rid of the past and not let it affect me in the ways that it was, it cleans the slate. It cleans the slate. I don't have to be shy anymore. I don't have to be this anymore. I don't have to be that anymore. I could be whatever I want and create the possibilities for something new. And they emphasize not something better or different, something new, something totally new. So this COVID situation for me is perfect for that. So I can't do my work in the normal way. So I'm creating new possibilities to make money. This is one of them, training through Meetup. Another one is I wrote a book on leadership a few years ago. I'm going to turn that into an audio book. It's a new possibility for me that I've never done before. I play music. So the other night on Facebook, I hosted a dance party. I played music for about 2 hours. And now I'm learning how to live stream better, so the quality of that production will be much better. And at some point, I'm going to ask people to donate money when I play music online. So that's a new possibility for me that I never thought of before. So a lot of these things come from having this clean slate and being willing to just try anything without fear of, you may not be able to do it because I wasn't able to do it in the past. Doesn't matter anymore. Really cool. I also, as I mentioned, created new possibilities with those relationships with people when I phone them. And that's exciting. You know, to have people in my life that I haven't had for years, family members that I haven't talked to in years, that are now willing to have a relationship with me. It's very cool, very exciting. So it's a way that you can actually change your life. Next guiding principle is we versus me. Now, I know that this probably is self-evident as well, but there are a lot of people, and I'm going to genderize this, if there's such a word as genderize, but I think men in particular have more difficulty asking for help than women do. I belong to a men's organization and come across a lot of men who we call lone wolves. They like to do things on their own. How are you doing? I'm good. Everything's good. Everything's fine. Everything's good. Everything's fine. And then when you find out that things aren't always good, it's because they have pride. They don't want to acknowledge that things aren't going well. Maybe they don't have enough money to eat, whatever the situation is in a time like this. And they have a hard time asking for help. And so when we have our men's meetings, when we do what's called a check-in, people check in on certain aspects of their life. At the end of the check-in, the rest of the men will say, "What do you need from us?" Encouraging men to say, well, I need this, or I need that, or I need that. And it's incredible what happens when you have this we mentality, as opposed to, I'm just going to handle this on my own. Yeah, we're all great on our own, and most of us can probably handle life on our own, but it seems to be way better as human beings to handle it collaboratively. In organizations, of course, we is huge. People who go on their own in this day and age are going to have a difficult time being successful in an organization. So we is really important. Asking for help, again, is the next guiding principle, and this is huge, and it's a sign of strength and not weakness. And so if you're one of those people, you know, especially if you're an organizational leader and you think you need to know it all and be the expert about everything, just not the case. In fact, the more you ask for help as an organizational leader and include your people and empower your people, give them responsibility to make decisions and to help you, the stronger your organization is going to be. And this is the same in life. You know, if you're the head of your family or the mother or father of kids, sometimes you need help too. And it's okay to tell your kids that you need some help. Could you clean the house for me, or could you do the dishes for me, because I'm really, really tired right now. I just can't handle it. Nothing wrong with that. And this is really important to me as well. And so here we are doing these virtual Zooms. I have a ton of Zoom meetings. And I do that obviously because it's the way to go. But I want to stay connected. I want to stay connected to my people at work. So this is an important thing for me. This is what I do. This is what I love to do, to train and to consult with people. So now I'm doing it virtually, doing coaching calls on Zoom now, which is great. Staying connected with my family, staying connected on social media in a positive way, staying connected with the news. You know, I'm educating myself about what's going on and trying to get as many different points of view about what's going on as I can. So I'm not hibernating. I'm not withdrawing from society because we have to be in isolation and stay away from each other. There's still ways to stay connected, and we're human beings, and that's important to us. So highly recommend, if you're not reaching out to a lot of people, to do that. Talked about this a little bit. Some of you may know who these people are. Martin Short, Chevy Chase, and Steve Martin. This is from a movie called Three Amigos. Having fun is just crucial for me. Gotta have some fun in whatever way, shape, or form you can do it. So if you're not having any fun, Have some fun. It's fun. You'll love it. And the last one, I don't know, one of these is more important than the other, but for me, taking action is huge. In Landmark, this is also coming from Landmark, the whole idea, if you want to transform your life, you actually have to do something. I mean, you people are here this morning, you took the action to come and learn something about this. And maybe from what I've said, you might take one of these things, incorporate it into your life, integrate it into your life, and take some action there. You might share this with some other people and take some action around that. If we don't take action, nothing happens, nothing changes, nothing transforms. So I've learned now in connection with letting go of the past and creating new possibilities, whenever the voices start to chatter in my head, I'm aware of that. I say, thank you very much, voices. By the way, those voices that are in your head, they never stop. So if I said to you, try and stop the voice, you'll hear nothing in your head for whatever, a few seconds, or maybe even a half a minute or a minute. And then something will come up and say, well, what are you doing? Like, who's this guy telling me? That's the voice. Or I could do this. That's the voice. The voice never stops. So we have to learn ways to manage the voice. And so what I do when I hear the voice, when I'm aware of the voice, I'm going, thank you, voice, stop now. And then I take action. I do something. Do something with work. Go hug my wife. Go hug a tree. Go for a walk. Play guitar. Whatever it is, I do something to bring myself back to the present. Because the voice is often talking about stuff that happened in the past or worrying about stuff that's going to happen in the future. So taking action. So there you have it. I'm going to bring us back to the main screen here. All right. So we have, just check the time here. Ended just about where I wanted to end. So we have some time to open it up for questions or comments. It'd be really great if you wanted to show your faces. I think it's really important that we look into each other's eyes. If you're a leader in an organization or an aspiring leader, that's being in the moment, being present, is to look into somebody's eyes. So turn your videos on if you can. And I'm going to open it up for questions or comments. I'm going to unmute you. And you might even want to introduce yourself and say who you are, where you're from, and what you do. And there's some faces to see. So I think we're live now. If you want to just jump in and ask a question, make a comment, introduce yourself.
I guess I'll start us off. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi, Sharon.
Perfect. So my name is Sharon. I'm actually a mortgage agent, working from home like everyone else. I really thought at the beginning, I joined a little bit late, but at the beginning of your session, you talked about giving ourselves permission to worry. And that's definitely something that I do on a regular basis. I call it strategic preventative planning. So giving myself permission to worry means that I can do it in good conscience and then put it aside and move on. So I thought that was really great. So thank you for that.
Very cool. Thanks.
I liked how you suggested to find a time to worry. Can tell me more about that?
So Robert, for me, it's almost when I start feeling the voices and I start to worry about something, that's the time. So I'm going to say, okay, it's happening now. I'm going to take, unless I'm in the middle, like let's say it started while I was doing this, then subconsciously I'd say, voices, shut up. I'm doing a webinar and wait till I'm done. But if I'm at my desk and the voices are starting to chatter, then I can say, okay, this is a good time. I'm going to take 10 minutes. Tell me what's going on. And then I'm done. Back to action.
Okay, so taking that pause or creating that pause for the worry, as opposed to not being a man and not taking that pause and moving on from the worry.
don't know what being a man is like, but yeah, it's taking the pause. And Robert, you know Martin Parnell, don't you?
Sorry, I don't.
Okay, just real quick. So the 10 minutes is important because this is Martin Parnell. He's a speaker, international speaker, friend of mine in his 60s. This man ran 250 marathons in 1 year. I'm going to repeat that. 250 marathons in 1 year. There's only 365 days in a year. This guy ran a marathon almost every second day. And he did it to raise money for charity. So the question around that is, how the hell did you do that, number one? And what about all the pain? And how do you psych yourself up every day? So he talks about 10 minutes. He says, my life is a bunch of 10-minute chunks. So I wake up in the morning and I'm going, oh my God, I can't run today. I just can't do this. But I can take 10 minutes to get out of bed and put on a shirt. And he does that 10 minutes. And he says, oh my God, like my body's so sore. It takes 10 minutes to go and get some food. So on and so on. He actually, all the way to getting to the race competition. And then he says, you know what? I could run for 10 minutes. 26 miles later, that's the way he gets through his life. It's incredible. So Robert, I want to see you running marathons starting today.
Well, or I can worry in chunks of 10 minutes.
Yeah, you could do that too.
I just want to see John have more fun in 10-minute chunks, because it looks like he's having way too much fun.
What are you doing out there, John? Where are you?
Me, I'm in my back garden, self-isolating.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Nice sunny day here in London, yeah.
Robert, just to go back to Robert for a sec, do you want to tell the people what you do?
What do I do? I'm all about the fun. Though I don't sound very fun right now. But I'm all about the fun. And
what's the name of your company?
What's the name of this crazy thing I do? Powerful Play Experiences, positive workplace mental health for teams. And so I've been in business for about 13 years now, traveling across the province of Alberta, a little bit into BC, a little bit into Saskatchewan, delivering workshops that are all about pushing the message of positive mental health at work. And it's not that complicated. If leaders can embrace the idea of the value of fun at work, the value of engagement, the value of happy and joy at work, well, that's good mental health. And I don't think it requires a very large budget for something like that. So I'm all about workplace mental health, but really pushing the message, more fun, more joy, more engagement, more happy. And very much like Herky, all my crowds have disappeared. So I've converted the business to online. And every day for the past couple of weeks, I've been posting a video that I call Fun at Work at Home Never Felt So Good, the 5-minute video workshop series. And if you go to my profile on LinkedIn, you'll see about 9 or 10 videos from the past couple of weeks, just pushing the idea that now that we're working at home, we need more fun at work at home. And we've been having a great time posting some videos about that.
Awesome.
What is your surname, Robert?
It's Robert, and my surname is Manolson, and it's pronounced Manolson.
Uh-huh.
And I thank Herky for this plug.
I'm sending you a bill. And folks, I've participated in Robert's workshops a few times, and they're great. So it's nice to have people that you know that you can feel good about plugging. John, what about you?
I just want to say to Sharon, your hair is beautiful.
What about my hair? Sharon's muted. You're muted. John, what's going on for you? What's your work these days in London, London, England?
Beautiful London, England. Yeah. So in software, not a million miles away from what Robert was talking about there, ours is like workplace health and safety software. So it incorporates a little bit of mental health. Like that's something that we're starting to figure out. How can our software help identify and help deal with people who have mental health issues, because ours is more kind of about, if you're like an oil and gas company and you have an incident, then you can manage all the incident investigation and all the reporting and all the data through our app. So it's more kind of industrial scale rather than on a human scale. But we are, because workplace, because mental health and wellness in the workplace has become so topical in the last 5 years, we're kind of playing catch up to a large extent and figuring out how we can incorporate or kind of just use the tools we have to help manage some of the risks associated with mental health at work. So always interested when I find people in that space, to learn more about what they're doing and how they're kind of having an impact, and see if there's some way we can potentially, learn from each other or help each other. So,
Are you on LinkedIn?
I am, yes, indeed. So I'll have a
Okay.
look now when we're finished here, and I'll find you.
Well, and also go find a gentleman by the name of Nick Wilson, because
Nick
he's
Wilson.
out there. Yeah, Nick Wilson.
Where is he based? Just so I know.
I'm actually going to jump in here because you guys can talk about that on LinkedIn. I want to make sure that Amy and Vera get a chance to say hi too.
No problem.
All right.
Sure.
Thanks, John.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Herky.
Amy, you're in the shadows.
I know, right? It's too bright in my apartment.
Okay.
So I closed the blinds, but I look like a shadow.
Yeah. So what do you do for work?
I'm in communications with the Ministry of Education with the provincial government.
Ontario?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in Toronto, so.
How is that going?
I'm working from home. And basically sometimes it's really crazy busy, and they have me working until 9 o'clock at night on a Friday night because people really want to hear an announcement from the minister at 9 o'clock at night, or a press release, or else it's quiet. So it kind of goes, it's like runs hot and cold. But are you the presentation that you shared with us, are you able to send that around? I liked some of the slides.
This one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've recorded it. So you'll get a link to the recording.
Okay.
If
awesome.
you're a member of the group. If you're not a member of the group,
I am a member of the group.
Okay, then you'll get a link to the recording and you can share that with your friends for sure. And if you want,
I really liked some of the slides.
If you want the slide deck, I'm happy to send you the slide deck as well.
Okay.
Vera, you're
awesome.
Thanks, Amy. I'm going to make sure we get Vera in here as well. Vera, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Hi. What do you do for work?
Hi. I'm a law clerk, downtown Toronto in a firm.
Did you say law clerk? Is that what I heard? Law.
Yeah. Like in a corporate and wills and estates department.
Awesome. And how's that going for you now during this time?
I'm at home right now. Now working from home. I was one of those people that got laid off due to the COVID-19.
Sorry about that.
I'm waiting. That's okay. They're actually working now to see if they can apply for the new subsidy from the government to rehire their employees. So hopefully in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'll be back to work.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Yeah,
I noticed Steve joined
Thank
us.
you.
I don't know what Steve, that background is, but it's kind of cool. And you're muted, Steve, if you want to say something. Maybe not. Okay. Well, folks, I know we're at the end of our time here, so I want to thank you all for coming today. Again, there's another session planned for this group for May 6th, and it's called Crisis Leadership and Best Practices. So at that session, going to be more interactive. We're going to use the breakout rooms, the polling that Zoom has, and share with each other what we think are the best practices for good leadership. I'll share what I think are the best practices, share what some of the literature says, and I'll look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Herky.
You too.
Take good care.
Bye.
Bye.